The Carolinas section of the PGA of America presents Tee It Up for the Love of the Game. Let's join Carolinas section President Rick Murphy as he introduces the DVD, followed by Carolinas section board member and PGA professional Ed Sehl's commentary, his interviews, and roundtable discussions with distinguished PGA professionals from the Carolinas.
As PGA professionals, we are all entrusted with the care and nurturing of the great game of golf. Our sport has a rich history and tradition. We think of legendary figures that have played the game like Walter Hagen, Gene Sarazen, Bobby Jones, and Arnold Palmer. We think of Babe Zaharias and Patty Berg. We think of Sam Snead, Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, and we think of Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player. All are Hall of Fame members that have enriched the game through having played the game at a level beyond reproach. Many great players were actually members of the Carolinas PGA. Clayton Hefner, Johnny Palmer, Purvis Farid, Harvey Pinnock, to name a few. We also think of the modern era players who are yet to write their names in the history of this sport that goes back almost 1,000 years. We as PGA professionals must continue to encourage each other, as well as our staff members, to play this great game and to carry on the history and traditions of this game. It's important to each of you to play more golf with the members at your club, more golf with your staff, and more tournament golf. Our sport has made many dramatic changes since ancient times in both the personalities who play the game, the equipment the game is played with, how this game is taught, and in the manicured courses where golf is now played all over the world. Businesses have sprung up spending billions to cater to a golfer's every need. Television takes us to parts of the world previously inaccessible. Today at our clubs and in our living rooms, we turn to high-definition TV and witness golf being played on all continents. Our ancestors would be amazed at the growth the business of golf has made. But they might caution us to remember that at the very heart of the game is competition. The business of golf couldn't exist without a Samuel Ryder in the 1920s for the beginnings of international competition we call the Ryder Cup. The business of golf couldn't exist without a Walter Hagen getting professionals inside the clubhouses and a Tiger Woods making us all respect his marvelous competitive spirit. And the business of golf couldn't exist without all the wonderful men and women who open their clubs and facilities every day so that you and I can tee it up for the love of the game.
The Professionals DVD.
As PGA professionals, like other executives, you face an almost overwhelming competition for your time. Building your business, raising your family, and giving back any remaining time to your community charities and churches leaves little, if any, time for your golf, or so you rationalize. This DVD will challenge you to rekindle that love of the game that led you to become a PGA professional in the first place. The PGA professionals on this DVD all lead full lives as respected businessmen, but strongly believe that maintaining their playing ability is not an option, but a necessity. Sometimes we mistakenly believe that Play Golf America is the growth of the game initiative for everyone but us, the PGA professionals entrusted with the game. We encourage you to tee it up for the love of the game.
Sometimes we get a little out of balance. We think maybe, gosh, I should spend more time as a business person, and we forget the golf side. How have you been able to balance that in the various roles that you've had?
Well, that's a good comment, and it's easy, as I mentioned in the past comment there, that we have to wear many hats. We have to run tournaments, we have budget meetings, we have the merchandising end of the business, we have to operate the golf course, the range, and meet with the superintendent. We have to teach and do clinics and demo days and private lessons and play and maybe playing some tournaments. So it's a lot of different places that you could be, directions you have to go into. He said, but to be an all-around golf professional, you have to allocate the time and be organized so you can get the other things done but you still have to allocate time for yourself so you can practice and keep your game up to snuff and play with the members. That's very important. And I think it's very important for all of us to be a little bit more organized. So at least you can spend maybe an hour a day, 45 minutes a day. It's like exercising. Once you get away from it and you start slipping a little bit, it's harder to do that. It's easy to say, well, I'm going to work in the shop today, or I'm going to work in this tournament today. You kind of have to do that and allocate the time and make sure you give yourself a fair chance to keep your game up to snuff.
Well, you know, we're going to miss you dearly, but we're going to consider that we've got a brother now in the Met section. Any advice for the young men and women who are thinking about becoming members of the PGA?
Absolutely, and some of those things I've mentioned earlier I think are important, particularly taking the time for yourself. It's not a selfish thing. It's a must as part of your profession to get ahead and to pursue the goal of being excellent at what you do. Playing good golf is very important. So you need to take the time. Don't be afraid to go to a buddy or a friend if you're having trouble with your game. There's nothing wrong with asking for advice or help. Stay abreast of the latest teaching methods. Be a good teacher, understand your game, go out and work on it, and you still have time to do the merchandising and accounting and hiring the people and running the tournaments.
Hard to balance sometimes the business aspect of golf and the playing aspect of golf, and you've certainly been able to do that. How have you been able to make that happen?
Well, I think you just have to make time to play. You can play with members, you can take them on pro-ams, you can go on out-of-town trips, but you have to make the time to practice and play. It's an important aspect to the golf professional business. We all got into business because we enjoy playing golf, and you just have to make the time.
Some professionals get out of the habit of playing. Any advice for them?
It is very easy to get out of the habit. My son plays college baseball, so I went to 92 baseball games this year. So it's very easy to get out of the habit. You have to realize once again that you got in the business because you're passionate for the game. You got to find the time, and there is time. Guys say, well, I don't have time. Sure you do. It gets light at 6, golf shop opens at 7:30. There's an hour and a half. There's time if you want to do it, and I think it's very important if you want to continue to be a good golf professional.
Knowing what you know now, even when you were busy as a general manager, do you think you would have tried to play perhaps a little more than you did?
No doubt, no doubt. But during that role as general manager, head golf professional, each day you say, well, next day I'm going to get out and practice, or this week I'm going to try to find the time, and just never did. But now I'm starting to get out and practice, and the game's starting to come back a little bit. And but had I known then what I do now and going into this new role, definitely would have tried to get out and practice some.
Hasn't been that long ago that you were an assistant yourself. How do you ensure that your assistants work on their playing skills? How do you encourage them to do that?
Well, I think it's, number one, it's the first step in the education process, to pass your PAT, to move along, follow it up with your books and continued education through the PGA of America. As the assistants move through the education process, they probably put their playing on the back burner, and I think that's at times when they're called on to play and play in tournaments, they may feel discouraged, or they may not want to participate because their games aren't sharp. So I think it's important that every opportunity they get to play is very important.
Mike, you've received lots of accolades from your peers, most recently National PGA Bill Strasbaugh Award winner. What does being a PGA professional mean to you?
Certainly winning the Bill Strasbaugh Award was a huge event in my life, professional life, probably the highest honor I'll ever attain with the PGA. I never knew the coach, but I certainly knew of him, and to have my name associated with him in that way is a very special award. A PGA professional is a honorable man of integrity. He has a passion for the game, and he has a passion to teach the game. And I think that we have moved from the turn of the century when In the early 1900s, we were nothing more than a waiter or a shoe shine guy, locker room attendant, to really leaders in our community. And the professional is stepping up in charitable affairs, helping with raise money for all sorts of charities in the local communities. Often active in church social affairs. So he's gone way beyond what the guys our forefathers were in the profession. And to the credit of the PGA, they have fostered these things. They have pushed these things, and we are very fortunate to have world-class young assistants coming along to carry that along in the years to come. So a PGA professional, I think, is first and foremost, he's in love with the game. He chose to be around the game the rest of his life. But now we've turned into high-profile business people as well. With that comes a great deal of responsibility, and with that comes a call to manage our personal lives appropriately along with our professional lives.
A lot of lifelong personal relationships begin sometimes with a walk down the fairway. Is there any better game where this happens?
No, there's just not another game like it. And I think that's the charm, that was the allure, that's what sucked us in right from the beginning. And that's the part as a former competitor that I'm really beginning to move into. It's not so much about how I play anymore, it's really about the time I spend on the golf course. And that's what we're striving to get across today, is the professional needs to reconnect to the game. Yes, he's busy. Yes, we work 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. You can carve, I don't care where you're at, you can carve out an afternoon to go play 9 holes, even if it's just out by yourself. But be sure to kind of smell the roses along the way, as Hagen would say. We miss that. Somehow in this modern world of technology, we've lost touch with what's really important, and that was the game. And we need to get back to that.
You know, guys, we got in this game because we love the game and we love competition, and you're getting ready to go to Winged Foot, maybe the home of some of the greatest competition, not the least of which was the U.S. Open this past year.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I played in a couple Opens and was fortunate actually to play in the Open in '74 at Winged Foot, and had the lead after 35 holes, and then had some bad luck in the 3rd round, as it would turn out.
Bad pairings?
Yeah, it must have been the wind or a pairing or something, but came back with a good last round, so it was a great memory. And I think a lot of the young professionals today forget that with all the things we have to do, you know, running tournaments and teaching our staff and merchandising, you really have to take the time to work on your game because it's one of the most important parts of being a golf professional.
You know, I have played a lot of tournament golf, and what I get out of it is that the rush of the practice and the time that you do put into playing well has paid off somehow, and you like to kind of get in the hunt. You know, I've played in the PGA Championship. My goal probably wasn't as high said as I should have said it, but it was to make the cut. But as long as you make the cut, that would get me out to the golf course, make me hit some balls, you know, which wasn't hard to do anyway, because I like to play.
They make a big deal out of the club pros, didn't they?
The way we can, you know, get to that point is to play in our section championship, you know, qualify, go to the Nationals, and make the top 20. And there you are, I promise you. It'd be the treat of your life.
I still remember the times when I would play at Champions. We talked about Jack Burke and Davey Marr and J.A. Bear, 2 former PGA winners, and to just walk down the fairway and talk to them and hear from them and carry on those legends, I think that's something that I always treasure, and I hope we do more of that today. And I know you're big on that, aren't you, Mike?
Yeah, yes. Each one of us took different paths, but it's our love for the game that really has us sitting here today. We've gone on to do other things, but and I think sometimes our time, our families, our work just swallows up our ability to play. And we need to rectify that. We need to carve out time to just get out, even if it's just casually.
Reid, you've won a few Pro-Ams. What's that do when the members say, hey, Pro, we knocked them out of their money that day, didn't we?
Yeah, it's always fun to win, of course, Ed. And the competition side it's pretty much human nature. I don't know many people that don't enjoy competing. You learn a lot from better players. I've always tried to be around better players, taking lessons from a lot of teachers as much for my teaching and my golf swing, just to learn more so I can relate that to my members and to my game. And I think that's very important. With this big group of guys we hang out with and call ourselves golf professionals, it's great to be around good players. Most good players are good teachers. Not necessarily both are the same, but generally speaking, they kind of go hand in hand.
Well, you're sitting next to a pretty good young player right there. I was watching him hit those balls out on the practice tee. Rich, you scare these guys.
I'm not sure about scaring them, but one of the things that I enjoy the most, obviously is the competition. Is traveling and meeting great golf professionals like these guys on the panel. That's what it's all about for me. The competition is great. I enjoy that. I think it's really important to get out there and play and like Reid said, get the juices flowing. But to be able to sit up here with Mike Harmon and John Buczek, Bob Boyd, these guys are legends, and for me to be as young as I am and be in this company is quite an honor.
We love competition, we enjoy that, but where else, after you've tried to beat the person's brains out, do you take your cap off, shake hands, and then all's forgotten? What a great sport.
That's one of the great things about professional golf is there aren't a lot of sports like that. And as we all know, as Mike alluded to, we got into the game because we love it, and you can play whether you're 8 or you're 80. And I think one of the things that we have an obligation to do as Class A head golf professionals, if you will, is to pass that on to our assistants. And they can tweak it and add their own ideas, but we need to get out and watch the young Rich Parker out there hit some balls, spend 20 minutes with him. I'll tell you what, I promise you, as a golf professional, if I spend 20 minutes with my assistant, I think he's going to work a little harder for me because he knows I care about him, and somebody cared about me.
What if you don't get to play at Hilton Head, or you don't get to play at Wingfoot in the Open? What other opportunities are there for professionals in our area?
Ed, there are just numerous opportunities for chances to play in our section, whether it's a local Pro-Am or whether it's our section championship, qualify for the professional national championship or whatever it might be. There are opportunities abound that are out there, and I think that we as PGA professionals need to realize that that is part of what we do, is have an ability to play the game and try to play at a high level. And I think oftentimes we as professionals feel that we don't have that time, or we shouldn't necessarily be working on our game, when in fact that's part of our job description, to be able to play proficiently. And it shouldn't be, we shouldn't wear that as a badge of honor that says, gee, I didn't play for the last month, so that must be good because I must be working harder. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. And I think that we have so many good opportunities to play in our section. I think that all the fellows that sit here try to take part in that program and realize what an enjoyment it is, and it's an important part.
For PGA professionals, we hope you are inspired to practice and play more golf. Now, here is Carolina PGA Executive Director Ron Schmid with more information.
Thank you for taking time to view this DVD. For more information about the PGA of America or the Carolinas PGA section, contact me. I'm Ron Schmid, the Executive Director, at 843-399-2742 or on the web at carolinas.pga.com. Thank you.